All right, let's go. What's good? What's good? What's good? You are tuning in to Apartment 5B podcast hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me in effect today. My brother from Morgan, this dude was the plug. If you ever hear me talk about the Source magazine, it's almost like this nigga's Maddie C. Like the Source to me begins and ends with Kel. While we was at Morgan, this dude always had the first issue of the Source. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Kel, what's going on, good brother?
What's up, fam? It's always good to see you, fam. Everybody, what's up?
Hey man, you got something on your hat, man.
That's right. You better show it. That's right.
Oh God, here we go. You know what? I'm glad. I hope y'all beat the shit out of each other. So then when y'all play us, y'all are dead in the war. So yeah, good. I hope y'all go to a game 7 for all I care.
Yeah.
Rel, out of Philly. What's going on, baby? What's going on, Rel?
Man, chilling, man. Glad to be here as always, bro.
Hey,
where your popcorn at?
Ben, what happened?
Where your popcorn at, Rel? Kill.
First of all, let's. Here's the thing. That's not a representation of all Philadelphia fans. That's not. We're not going to do
real. And that's not
either. The same way, I don't believe the dude spitting on.
Nah, man, that's
racist frat boy. Yeah, that's just a sucker doing.
If he would have popped him in the face, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, man. I was glad the crowd pointed him out, man. That was some sucker shit, man. I don't like that at all.
Right. Nah. I feel you. JR, what's going on with you?
What's up? What's going on? Glad to be here.
Hey, ready to rock as always. My OG, a kid called Roots, driving back from the Hamptons. I'm driving back from Southeast DC. This nigga's driving back from the Hamptons. What's going on, bro?
Yo, I'm here, man. I'm driving on the highway. I got my magnet, got my phone attached to the windshield.
I appreciate you making the time, good brother. Anytime you want here, bro. I'm always happy as hell. My brother burned out ATL.
Yeah. I got some juice to spit.
Yeah, I'm ready to hear him. Good brother. Burn out at ATL.
All right.
What's going on, good people?
Hey. Like I said, I'm just waiting for y'all to beat the crap out of each other, and then y'all come see us down the road. So, that's what it is. Y'all know me. Let's jump right into it. This week, we are saluting, to me, one of my personal favorite hip-hop crews ever. Truth be told, I don't even know. And Roots may be able to speak on this. I don't even know if this crew ever had a name. You know what I mean? I just knew him as the Hurby Luv Bug crew. Like
Idol Makers.
Yeah. I got it. Idol Makers. Yeah.
The
Idol Makers. Okay, you remember that? Word.
Yeah,
word. That's what it was.
No doubt. So the Idol Makers. We talking about Hurby Luv Bug. Y'all know I'm old. I need my cheat sheet right here. We talking about Hurby Luv Bug, Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, Sweet Tea, Kwame, Dana Dane. And even though it was a very short-lived career, Antoinette, I just was listening to I Got an Attitude today.
Oh, yeah.
That shit still bangs just as hard.
Oh, shoot, I forgot about that.
Yes, Antoinette was down with that crew.
Matter
of fact, Vern, let's do this. You intro us in, bro, because this was your idea. So why did you want to salute this crew?
Because, man, the music and the groups bring back an era in our lives that's sorely missed now. It was just fun music, and man, we used to dance, bro. We used to party, man. It was, it was good rap. They wasn't splitting atoms, but the music was good, and it was just fun, man. And so I need to salute them because they don't talk about these groups, man.
Right. No, I mean, I co-sign 100%, bro. I mean, like, especially ever since I had Naomi, I always called this crew the PG-13 hip hop. You know what I mean? When Nate came home from the hospital, 2 days, boom, every day bath time. It was a hip hop lesson, and it was a lot of biz. It was a lot of Sweet Tea, a lot of Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, all that good stuff. You know what I mean? So to me, it was just like, this is like you said in the crew, nobody talks about them. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to salute them because, I mean, at the end of the day, once you start going back to 87, bro, yo, this to me was one of the dopest crews out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That nobody does talk about. Let's do this. Let's start off with this. When did you first hear about this crew, the Idol Makers? When did you first hear about, Hurby Luv Bug or Salt and Pepper? Like, I know for me, You know, and I'm sure Roots growing up in Queens will be a much better, different story. Like, I just remember Salt and Pepper, Hot, Cool, and Vicious. And like, I remember the 12 inches. I remember Tramp. I remember the 12 inch for I'll Take Your Man. You know, I remember all those 12 inches. And me being a liner note junkie was always like, oh, produced. And it would always say produced by the super producer. And it was spelled P-R-O-D-U-S-A, producer. You know, Hurby Luv Bug or whatever like that. So I started seeing that name, and you hear her say things like Herb here and there. Mm-hmm. Then I heard Kid and Play. Started reading the liner notes of those 12 inches, Do This My Way, Getting Funky. You see, and then the names just started coming together. So for me, it started with Salt and Pepper. Roots, why don't you tell us something about Queens? I know you got a whole different philosophy being from Queens and knowing so many people.
For me?
Yeah, Roots, it's on you. Like, when's the first time you heard of this crew?
Oh man, you don't even want me to get started, man.
Nah. Get started, good brother.
All right.
That's why you here.
All right, so yo, I got an older brother, right? My older brother named Chip. He went to St. Gabriel's, which was a Catholic elementary middle school, right? And he went to school with Hurby Luv Bug, St. Gabe's. Now, I'm years behind him. I went to school with Steve Azor, who is Hurby Azor's younger brother. So me and Steve are the same age. We went to St. Gabe's years after the older brothers. So, I hate to talk about this because now I'm going to show my age and shit, but Hurby my brother was obsessed with AFX cars. I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah, no,
right. And Hurby and my brother used to compete with the AFX cars. My brother would spend all day tuning his AFX cars all day. And they used to race for cars. So if you lost, you lose your cars. And Hurby would come to my house and play all day with my brother till my mother was like, yo, you got to get out the house. and it was the same thing. We would come, so I would beg my brother to tag me along to Hurby's house and watch them play AFX cars. Fast forward, my brother ended up going to Queensborough College, right? And Hurby went to Queensborough College. And they joined some fashion shit. They were on some fashion club shit, doing modeling. And Hurby was dating Salt, who was known as Cheryl, right? And they did some project for class. It was some shit like you had to do. Everybody was doing something else for the class, but Hurby's concept for the class was like, I'm going to do a song. And in his group was Cheryl and Sandy, right? And so they did the Showstopper, which was basically an answer to Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh's record. But what happened was that record, it was so good and everybody in the class loved it, they pressed the record. And the rest is history. That's how that whole shit started. So that's early 80s, you know what I'm saying? But I was there, I witnessed the whole shit. And then, and ironically, me, Steve, Kwame, we went to St. Gabe's together. You know what I'm saying? And Kwame was always talented, man. Kwame played the drums. He could play a little guitar, you know what I mean? And we used to walk home from school and go in his basement, and he laid out the cardboard. We had a refrigerator box, and we opened that bitch up, and I would be breakdancing, he'd be cutting on the turntables. Then my man B Flat would be breakdancing, and I'd try to do the turntables, and Kwame would be on the drums, and that was the start of Kwame shit. You know what I mean? So that's my first experience with that crew.
Hey man, side note, if you got time, check out. He had a 2-piece episode on Questlove. I learned so much about Kwame over that mug, man. Yeah.
All right, no download that.
Hey, Kwame was obsessed with Prince, and he loved Slick Rick. He loved Prince, and he loved Slick Rick. If you study his first album, you could see the influence of Prince. That's why he had the whole crew. He had that girl. He had Money from Philly, right? And he had my man D Sharp. He had Peekaboo the dancer. Right. They all had a theme. It was a whole thing because it was sort of like a spin-off of Prince and the Revolution. It was like Kwame and his crew. And then he loved Slick Rick, which you could tell the storytelling and the answering and the question and talking to himself in the songs. So I mean, it was a good era, man. It was beautiful, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You
That's a
know.
beautiful thing.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful
yeah,
story.
yeah.
Vern, what about you in ATL? When did you first hear about the Hurby Luv Bug crew?
Well, not necessarily the crew, but my first introduction was Dana Dane. You know, Nightmares. That was right before I moved here when I was in junior high, and then ninth grade. I never forget. Sugar Bear is one of the gulliest gangster niggas I know. He let me hold his Hot, Cool, and Vicious, and I became Salt and Pepper fan after that. I got the little pop rocks on my shelf right now. My boy, who's the prep, you know, artsy too. He put me on the Kwame, and of course Antoinette, Sweet Tea. You knew about them, and then I got it. Yeah, that's right. Kid and Play, Do This My Way. That's a dope crew, man. As we talk about it, yeah. But my first introduction, I would say, is Dana Dane.
All right, Dana Dane, no doubt. Kel, what about you, good brother?
Kind of showstopper hearing, you know, obviously Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick, you got the show, and then you hear, you know, Salt and Pepper come out, showstopper, and you're like, yeah, who are they to answer Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like just the confidence alone, then the song, and then obviously, you know, they just fly off from there, and that's, you know.
No doubt, Ro. What about you?
For me, it was Salt and Pepper. That's when I first really started hearing Hurby Luv Bug name. Yeah, I mean, I remember first seeing Salt and Pepper as a kid and thinking Salt was the most beautiful female I ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? I was in love. Man. I was in love.
I'm gonna have some stories about that trip.
We all were.
I was on her top from the beginning, you know what I mean? So that's how it started for me. And then, you know, once we get further, like Kid and Play, you know what I mean? Like that era was just fun, man. And I don't want to hear, you know, sometimes I just want to hear something to make me feel good and be happy, you know what I'm saying? Like I you know, every all that stuff has its purpose, you know what I'm saying? And this served a real good purpose, and it's almost sad a little bit when you think back, like, because we don't really get that no more, you know what I mean? So there it is.
Right,
y'all can't do
like where all these Knicks niggas come from?
It's heavy, yo.
Here's the thing. Yo, Ralph, let them know we ain't intimidated, my nigga. Philly has always had to prove our importance in hip hop, and we gonna improve our importance to this game.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying, y'all coming in here, nigga. You see me around rocking anything? Like chilling. Y'all coming in here, like y'all mash out.
I want this to work.
I want this to work. I ain't wearing no Sixers shit to work. What Kobe say? What Kobe say? Job ain't done. Job ain't done. I wear some shit when the job is done.
But when you've been unemployed for so many years, you know.
You right. I got the job. You got the job interview. You gotta be happy you just got the job interview. I understand. I'm gonna just go with Kobe. Job not done. JR, what about you? When's the first time you heard of Hurby and the whole crew?
Salt and Pepper. My mom is the biggest fan of Salt and Pepper. So from Hot, Cool, and Vicious, she has them all. So, you know, I'm aligning those dudes. So I'm looking at who produced, who wrote, who did this. And that's where I found that. And then it goes on to Kid and Play. And then my pops loved Dana Dane. And then Sweet Tea, we knew that. So but I got into it with Salt and Pepper. That was first. It started there.
All right, no doubt. Eddie, what about you?
Yeah, the same as JR. Like Salt and Pepper first. You know, Push It definitely, and then after that had to be Kid and Play. I mean, because I was young, man. So you know, those were the party joints. Those were like, you know, the kid friendly joints. You know, like no worries in the world. You know what I mean? Some Dana Dane. Like I messed with Dana Dane back then, but Kwame, like, nah, I wasn't really into Kwame back then. Like, I didn't know about him like that.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. Here's the funny thing about Push It. Probably the most viewed video ever for me. And I hate the fucking song. I can't stand Push It. Like, I think the song is horrible.
Me either.
But I probably watched the video more than any rap video in the history of rap videos. Top 5. Let's start with that. Top 5 songs from this crew.
Woo.
For me, I got Getting Funky, Kid and Play.
Yeah, man.
I remember coming home from school, seeing the video, and the video was just so dope. I mean, the video being on the block party, they had the 2 hype joints on. Not to mention they had the Jordan 3s.
The white ones and the black ones. Oh my god!
Yeah. I think Kid.
Oh man!
I think Kid had on. In fact, I was just rocking mine today. Kid had on the white joints, and then I think Play had on the black cement joints. Yep. And it was like, yo, anybody who rocked these, man, when 3 Times Dope had these on the cover of Greatest Man Alive, it was like anything that had the 3s on it, I was good to go with. So definitely Getting Funky. Right. The next one, Nightmare, Dana Day. I mean, this was around the time, and for people watching who are younger, this was around the time when you could do things where hip hop was still fresh, and you could do things like, you know, taking a whole the sample from the Munsters or the bass line from the Munsters, you know what I mean? Like that was right up there with, you know, Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince taking I Dream of Jeannie, For Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble. Like, yo, just the whole Nightmares thing was just dope for me. I Got an Attitude by Antoinette.
Dang.
You talk about a one-hit MC Light. But yo, I Got an Attitude by Antoinette. The way her freaked them and pieced the press drums, and Antoinette just crazy. I mean, dog. Crazy. Next joint I got, The Man We All Know and Love by Kwame. Yo, that joint, I remember seeing that and just being like, yo, this is the dopest shit ever. You know what I mean? When he did the whole sweet thing part.
Yeah.
Let me get some. Yeah, I mean, yo, and you talk about Saul, I'm like, Saul,
Cinderella was in that video. Yes, sir.
That's what I like.
Spin was in the video, man.
Yeah.
So The Man We All Know and Love. And it's funny because I had the high top fade and I wanted to get it dyed in the front like Kwame and Moms was not having it. And that's not no shit. You can't sneak that shit in the crib. You can't sneak your whole thing. You ain't doing that. I snuck an earring in. I snuck some things in my mom. You can't sneak the whole dye job in the air. And then The Last Tramp by Salt and Pepper. Like, I love that video. I mean,
hey, Kill, did you fail at math? Because that sound like more than 5.
No, that's 5, my brother.
I know. I'm about to say that.
Nah,
okay. Yeah, that's like 7, nigga.
Nightmares, I Got an Attitude, The Man We All Know and Love, and Tramp. That's 5. And Tramp. Vern, you always talking about the old school sweatshirts they had. Yo, Salt had on the Houston Rockets hoodie and Tramp. I think Pepper had on the Celtic Boston. Yeah, that was crazy.
How do we remember that, bro? That was
This is how many times I watched that I can tell you what they had on. Like, so yeah, but Getting Funky, Nightmares, I Got an Attitude, The Man We All Know and Love, Tramp. Vern, what about you? What's your top 5?
All right, I'm gonna start with I Desire by Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Crazy.
And since you already took Nightmares from Dane, I'm gonna go with Delancey Street.
Good pick.
I love the story that he told on that. Then for three, I'm gonna go Only You. Nigga, you talking about the dance floor rocking?
Yo, that whole second album is slept on. To me, that's a 5 mic classic. That's a 5 mic classic to me. That second Kwame album.
Yep. So since you did Getting Funky, I'm gonna go Last Night.
Last Night.
Yeah, man.
I want to talk about.
Oh yeah, that shit was hot.
I'm gonna put an asterisk on Last Night because I was listening today and I was like, yo, how the fuck that just happened? But we gonna talk about it.
and then for 5, I'm gonna go It's My Beat, Sweet Tea.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
yeah.
Woo! That's my shit. I was just about to say that. That's my shit.
Yo, here's the thing about Kid and Play last night. How the whole time Kid Play is dissing the girl.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he find out she bad. Like I was yo, when you ever been around an ugly chick and then an hour later she bad? Like
your head so bold, I could read your mind. What?
yeah, right. How you go from your head so bold I can read your mind to yo, this girl is thumping. Yo, her body is dope. Like, yo, bro, what happened? Like,
Because he helped him fight. That's so. I guess he fell in love with.
Yeah, he fell in love with the fact that all right, cool. That's what it is. Roots. What about you? Top 5 joints out the Hurby Luv Bug crew.
Yeah, my top 5. It's my beat from Sweet Tea. That's my number 1. That shit was hard. That was my joint. And then I love Kwame the Rhythm. Woo! Yeah, that joint was crazy. Kwame's the Rhythm. Boom.
Man, that's because
Boom, 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 boom. That shit was hard. I love that joint. I love Nightmares. I gotta do Nightmares. That's 3.
Yeah.
Rolling with Kid and Play. I love that record. Not to mention it was the first music video I was in. They did the music video at August Martin High School in Jamaica, and it was inside the lunchroom. We had a food fight. And I just knew I was going to be in the video. The camera was on me, but they cut me. You only see the side of me in the video. But I love that song. I heard the song so much, it's just ingrained in my brain. So Rolling with Kid and Play. I was going to say Tramp. I love Tramp. And I love Desire too. That's my joint too. I guess that would be 5 right there. Those are the 5 that I love.
Man, people don't know about Salt and Pepper, but we're gonna talk about them. Cal, what about you? Top 5 joints?
Kind of pretty much what you said. Most of you, I think too. I'm wearing a shirt. It's a Young TV hip hop rap shirt. So
yeah,
kind of what you're saying. The video is the kind of the thing that makes me stand out. Salt and Pepper, Get Up. Kid and Play, Getting Funky. The Getting Funky video is like it's top 5 for me.
Man, bro, top 5.
Top 5 video. Song, I just love the song. Kwame the Rhythm. Sweet Tea. Y'all talking about Salt. I was in love with Sweet Tea.
Okay.
On the Smooth Tip was my joint.
I'm not no more, y'all.
I know. I can't be going last. All my stuff.
I'm right. Shit.
At the end of the day, this be the death beat. Was
this be the death beat. Yeah.
Video too, same thing. Video is just unique and just love that joint.
Yep. The thing I remember most about that video is when Clark is scratching and he opened the shirt. He got the Superman shirt on.
Yep.
So many dope times. Rel, what you got, good brother?
All right, man. So I got Kid and Play Getting Funky. That's one of my favorite videos of all time. The kicks, man. That man, come on, man. I watched that to this day. Yeah, man. The white cement 3s and black cement 3s, that's like holy grail for real. Like I can't even like if you a sneakerhead, that's holy grail. Kwame the Rhythm, Salt and Pepper, Get Up. I love that joint, man. The beat, everything. Sweet Tea, it's my beat. Yo, that shit is hard. Like that shit's crazy. And my last one, I don't know if they consider part of the crew. Right. I don't know if they consider part of the crew, but this 12-inch, the A and B side was fire. Hurby Luv Bug produced it. Cash Money and Marvelous, Play It Cool, and Ugly People Be Quiet. That was my shit.
I forgot about that.
I never knew. Hold on. Now you got me pulling out CDs. Man.
I gotta study that.
Now, according to this say everything produced by Cash Money, co-produced by Joe the Butcher. And this is the joint, so I don't know. Because I was like, damn, that'd be news to me.
You got
that Hurby did that.
He did Play It Cool. And he did Play It Cool, yeah.
All right, no doubt. You talking about, pause for the sneakerheads for a minute, bro. You talking about Holy Grail? Bro, I just got these, man. These were my Holy Grail.
How much he paid? $1,200?
Not $1,200. I'll tell you that. Not $1,200.
Man.
This is my grail. This is my grail. We gotta talk offline, bro. This is one of those things I was like, I'm never getting a pair of these. Man, yeah, we'll talk.
Wow. Okay.
JR, what you got, brother?
I got Getting Funky, one of my favorite videos. I love that video. From Day to Cinderfella. Salt and Pepper, I'm gonna have to do Doper Than Dope.
Man.
And with I'm trying to think with Sweet Tea because y'all threw mine. I'm gonna have to say Show and Prove.
Okay.
And then with Kwame, I'm gonna say The Rhythm.
All right. Can't be mad at them. Eddie, what you got, brother?
I gotta go. I'll go with Tramp, Salt and Pepper, Nightmares, and I'll say Nightmares and Cinderfella. I mess with those. Rolling with Kid and Play. And you know, I didn't mess with Kwame like that, but the rhythm was dope. I can't even front on that. So
Can't front on the rhythm.
Yeah,
no.
Rhythm,
Yeah.
No,
Rhythm was crazy.
Yes,
All right,
man.
let's do this. Dopest album out of this crew.
Okay.
Me, my dopest album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious, man.
Yeah.
This joint right here.
Yeah.
My favorite album. I mean, 5 mics to me. Push
Yeah.
It, Beauty and the Beat, Tramp, I'll Take Your Man, It's All Right. Chick on the Side. Come on.
that
Desire,
hard.
The Showstoppers, and my mics sound nice.
What album is that?
That one.
That's
Hot
the
Cool
first
and
one. Hot, Cool, and Vicious. Good gracious. That's man. That lineup is
Yo.
killer.
Yes.
But the crazy thing is, bro, this is what I'm talking about. Niggas on the timeline all day talking about Liquid Swords, the Purple Tapes, Omatic. That's it, bro. This is a 5 mic
Bro,
classic.
name
album
them songs
right
again,
there.
man.
What album? What album is
Shit.
that? Which album is
That's the
that?
first one. Hot, Cool, and
Oh,
Vicious.
yeah.
The first
That's
one.
the first one.
You talking about Push It, Beauty and the Beat,
Yeah.
Tramp, I'll Take Your Man, It's Alright, Chick on the Side, I Desire, The Showstoppers, and my mic sound nice.
Every song on the album is killer.
Every song.
Damn,
song.
Chick on the
It ain't
Side.
no
I forgot about Chick on the Side. Damn.
It
Bet
ain't no
you got a
skip.
chick on the side. Sure, you got a chick. I know.
I know
Oh
you got
my.
it.
Let me
It ain't
explain
no skip.
something. Everybody watching this right now, go listen to this.
Yes.
Like not now, like Fife said, not now, but right now. If you never heard this song, this album, go listen to this. And I've always loved equipment. So just the fact that the old school Spinderella had the mixer. Like anytime I could see equipment. So this is my favorite album
With the original spin on that.
That crew with the original spin before the new spin came in the pocket. This is it right here for me. Roots, what's your favorite album out of this crew?
Yo, I was already convinced I was gonna say Kwame, Boy Genius, but then after that whole spiel you just said, it made me be like, oh shit, he's right. Nah, that's all Pepper first album, so it's crazy.
Yo.
God damn, I forgot that all them joints was on there.
I know, me too.
Yeah, that
And
you
here's
can't
the
deny
crazy
that.
part.
That shit might be the best album out that camp, yo.
Good gracious.
Yo, here's the crazy thing: the 12 inches, every Salt and Pepper 12 inch. We ain't even getting to what I'm gonna talk about with Slept On joints. We'll let the rhythm run off the Color soundtrack because that was fucking bonkers. Like, yo, there was a time when Salt and Pepper. What's the other joint? MCs. Damn, it'll come to me.
Oh
But,
yeah, I
yo,
know.
They got
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna figure out the name of it, but yo, let the rhythm run off the Color soundtrack, bro. Salt and Pepper could do no wrong. From literally from like 86 to 89. Yo.
Yep.
Somebody say kill? Oh.
I said they were killing it from that.
Oh, you did. Yo, I mean, yeah, even longer.
That's what I was just about to say. The 93,
yeah. Well, I'm saying after a while, I did fall back from Salt and Pepper after a while. You know, I'm talking album wise.
Oh, yeah.
Because at a certain part to me, I know JR, but at a certain point, it was a little more pop, like less.
Oh yeah.
You know, but hip hop.
Right.
I'm good money with.
Yeah, hard.
Good money with.
Right.
I mean? Like,
I got you.
No doubt. All right, so Roots is going with Hot, Cool, and Vicious. Rel, let's get to you. I don't want to save you till last. What you got, Rel? What's your favorite joint?
Too Hype.
Not mad at that right there.
Was my favorite, man.
Fun album.
Yeah, man. Good album, man. Fun.
Yeah,
I can listen to it around my mom's. You know what I mean? And, you know what I'm saying? Like, I won't get in trouble.
That's important, though. That's important.
You know one of the favorite things about albums I used to love was the back covers. And if you check out that back cover again, you see the cement threes.
Come on, man.
You see the white threes.
You see the whip. Come
you see
on,
the
man.
whip. The chicks in the
on,
back in
man.
the day, they dancers was called the bad dancers, the body action dancers. That was the name of Kid and Play's back in the day. You know what I mean? These were back in the days where you could have a Volvo and that was the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
again, you know, a Jetta,
Right.
man, please. Don't even get me started on the Jetta. Cal, what's your favorite album out the crew, man?
You know, I was gonna say Too Hype as well, but you said High Cool, but you ran on this track list. I gotta go with that. I can't argue with that.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I wanna show some love
Can't argue
to
with
Too
that.
Hype because
I can't argue with that.
the thing about Too Hype that's dope, and I wrote this down. You can't deny Kid and Play. Kid and Play had a 4-song run that is undeniable in hip hop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
They're
Yeah.
starting off
yeah.
with Next Night. Last Night Changed It All was crazy. Let's just put
Mhm.
that out there.
Yeah.
Crazy. Do This My Way.
Yes, sir.
Bruh.
Mm-hmm.
The drums.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The video.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Bruh. Crazy. One of the ill moves I could do back in the day when I was a dancer, when Play could do the little
Jump over your leg.
leg.
Oh, yeah.
I could
Oh,
jump
we
over my
all
leg.
was trying to do that.
Nah, nigga. I'm 47 with
You can do
full
it now?
I ain't doing it now, nigga. I ain't getting back up off the floor, bro. If I try to do that. Then you go to Getting Funky. And then
Right.
you end with what Roots talked about, Rolling with Kid and Play. That's a 4-album run. That's a 4-song run that most people didn't even have in hip hop. And keep in mind, I think with the exception of Last Night, 3 of them were videos.
That's
Yeah.
a fact.
That's again, we didn't get a video for Raw from Kane.
Right.
We didn't get a
No.
video. We got Ain't No Half Stepping. That's the only video we got off of Long Live the Kane.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So Kid and Play had a dope 3-album run. So when people talk about Kid and Play, I don't do the one-hit wonder. Not with this. This ain't no one-hit wonder. This is dope hip hop right there. Kel, you went with Salt and Pepper too. Eddie, what you got for your favorite album out the crew?
You know, I'll put it like this: Salt and Pepper is probably that Hot, Cool, and Vicious is probably the best, but my favorite was probably that Kid and Play because I remember, you know, I had my older cousin, so you know he was into it. And he was trying to teach me the dances and stuff, and I was totally uncoordinated. But you know, there's memory behind that. It was fun. Yeah, it was dope.
No doubt. And JR, what you got for yours?
I agree with y'all. The best one is Hot, Cool, and Vicious, but my favorite is Black Magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Magic was hard too.
Yeah.
Mhm. That is my favorite for real because he started writing and stuff and all that. So they pen a little bit and Spin was producing a little bit. So
All right, tell me this, y'all. Give me a slept on album. What's the slept on album out of this crew? For me, my slept on album is Tea Time by Sweet Tea. This joint right here, I don't know why when we talk about female MCs, nobody ever mentions her name. I feel like it starts with Lauryn Hill and it just goes on from there. Like I sometimes feel people don't even give Light the credit she deserves. Lies sometimes get the credit. I get it, but Sweet Tea, yo, let's look at this. On a smooth tip, let's dance. I got the feeling, nigga. I got the feeling.
that's my
Workout.
joy.
It's my beat. As the beat goes on, y'all, it's like that, y'all. Then here's the sleeper. Why did it have to be me?
Why did it have to be?
For the kids at home who don't understand, there was a time in hip hop where you had hip hop slow jams. Okay, so Heavy D had "Don't You Know," which is one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? Most people say LL's "I Need Love." I hated that shit. I always hated that shit. I ain't gonna hold you, but Heavy D's "Don't You Know" and Sweet T's "Why Did It Have to Be Me." This was a legit slow jam, y'all. This was a legit slow jam. She had the video for it. Incredible album, incredible MC. She came back on the scene for a second. I think her name was Under Star off the show soundtrack, and she had the joint called "What's Up, Star."
And that joint was fire.
That was crazy.
That was
crazy. That was Sweet Tea back at it. But this is my slept on album that I feel like nobody talks about. Roots, what do you think is an album that nobody talks about when it comes to this crew?
I think, you know, it's funny. In New York, when Kwame's second album came out, it kind of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
But people in Philly, they were loving that second album. Like he like it was crazy because I had cousins in DC and stuff like that, and they were like, this. We would go down there and be like, yo, everybody's playing it, but in New York, it wasn't getting a lot of burn at all. So for me, that Kwame's second album was slept on, at least that.
Yeah.
But you know, I think in other markets that it was popping. But from my perspective, I thought that the second album was slept on. You know,
Yo, very dope album.
What's it called? A Day in the Life, I think it's called.
A Day in the Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the concept behind
Day in the Life.
The concept was a day in his life.
Yeah.
You got the answering machine, skinny motherfucker.
Right.
It's the day in the life. It's okay. There's a party going on. One of the big boys.
Yeah.
Yo, Hey Love was my shit. Yo, who that guy doing my? And then Only You. Yo,
Man.
Only You on.
Man, come on.
Yo,
Only You.
If
Come
you
on.
my age and you play Only You and you don't smile, nigga, you the feds, nigga. I don't trust
For real,
you. I don't
for
want you around me.
Real.
Because, yo, this is just an incredible album. This is when he got with Tat Money, who used to be Steady B's DJ out of Philly. Tat came over and got the squad. And here's the thing, and we're going to talk about this. This is all produced by Kwame. Because truth be told, what I've heard through interviews is the first album, A Boy Genius.
It was.
all produced by Kwame.
Yeah.
Not actually Herb, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Rel, what's your slept on album out the crib?
Yeah, that's a fact.
For me, I'm gonna have to agree with Roots. I know like my older cousins, they like the Kwame's second album, but I felt like a lot of people ain't really talk about it like that or give it, you know what I'm saying? Like I know, like he said in Philly, like where we from, like it was getting played. My older cousins would play it, but when I would go anywhere else, it wasn't really getting the love like that. You know what I'm saying? So I would, if I had to think about an underrated album, that would be the one. Yeah, I would say Kwame's second drum. And yo, check your phone too. Hurby
I
Luv
think
Bug.
what you said.
Yeah, he produced both of them songs. Cash Money and him produced both of those songs. So that's why.
All right. Kwame's second CD. We're gonna get into why I think it was slept on later on. Kel, what you think is the slept on joint?
I got Antoinette, Who's the Boss. I think the whole light thing just messed up. You know, it just kind of. I think people are sheltered.
Yeah.
I think it's just 10% just like ruined Antoinette. And I think she's so dope. And I mean, the album is dope, but light came on. I mean, light is light.
Yeah.
Antoinette ain't light, so
Yeah.
that's part of it too. But Antoinette was dope, but I just got pushed aside, and people just forgot about the album.
Right, no doubt. Eddie, what about you? Slept on album?
Yeah, like I'm probably not the right person to ask, but I'll probably agree about Kwame. And like for me, like I said, I didn't really mess with him even the first. And from my perspective, right, someone like who's a little younger, like what that first album in '89.
How old were you when Kwame came out in '89?
Well, I was 9. But,
okay.
But really, like you think of who was big, right? Like he was getting overshadowed. Like you had, Big Daddy Kane and Rakim and G-Rap. Like you had, people. So if I'm hearing it from like my older cousins and older friends, whoever, like the top dogs, they were getting all the clout. You know what I mean? That's so. In comparison, Kwame wasn't getting that much play like that. So I guess from my age group perspective, that's what I would say.
Right. And what you got, JR?
I was gonna say it's sweet. It's tea time. I feel like nobody talks about that album at all. Like you said, like when it comes to female hip hop, I don't see people talking about her, and I'm like, yo, it's my beat on the smooth tip. You know what I'm saying?
You had to be outside. You had to. I think for a lot of people, you had to be outside. You had to be.
With my age, I wasn't outside, but my parents was jamming it.
But your parents, but your parents. That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the difference right there. All right, tell me this,
Hold
y'all.
on, Carol, you skipped me, man.
Oh, my fault, Vern. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go with JR. I'm gonna go Black's Magic.
Okay.
That's true.
I don't think people talk about it, and I like it. The older I get, the more I like it because I appreciate the risks that they were taking and how they were trying to expand themselves. And as you say, get their pen going. It was real musical because this is how I've always been. It ain't always got to be concrete jungle for me to like it. If it's good, I mean, I like all kind of music. And I thank God that my palette is real expansive. They were in their lane, and I'm cool with that. So yeah, I would say Black's Magic is slept on.
All right, no doubt. I want to also shout out this album that nobody ever talks about. It's called Hurby's Machine, the house that Rat built. Now this joint was like Hurby's attempt at doing a Marley Marl in control. It's funny. It's called Hurby's Mag. Like you see, this I used to be in pawn shops when I lived in Atlanta, so some of my joints don't got covers, but it's Hurby's Machine, the house that Hurby built. You know, and it's kind of like a compilation album of joints. Right. Kelb, you was talking about Antoinette's album. It didn't have I Got an Attitude on it. Yep. You know what I mean? Which was probably my biggest beef with it. But this joint had I Got an Attitude on it. So, you know, I had to get this joint. But this is just Herby's attempt at doing that. Let's talk about Hurby as a producer, man. Like, I mean, he's one of my favorite producers recently because of all these podcasts. I guess now all the hip hop secrets are coming out. I forgot what podcast I was listening to, but Ron Amen, who was one of the hitmen down with Puff, was saying he did a lot of these Hurby Luv Bug beats. You know, Ron was like, look, I was at Howard in 86. That's where all that go-go stuff came from. So I used to send stuff home to Hurby, and that's where he got a lot of that go-go stuff from. When you listen to, you know, My Mic Sounds Nice, Rolling with Kid and Play. Hurby was one of the first people to really put that go-go out there. I can't call it. I just salute him for what I believe he's done. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. I still think, you know, an exceptional producer to be able to give all these different artists different kind of beats. Because to me, Shake Your Thing sounded nothing like Getting Funky. You know what I mean? And Getting Funky didn't sound nothing like Nightmares. And Nightmares didn't sound nothing like Sweet Teasers like that, Sean. You know what I mean? So I salute him for that. I think he's an incredible producer. Roots, you know her. Why don't you talk a little bit about her for a minute?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I thought Herb was ahead of his time. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about that thing, I mean, this is my personal opinion. I was always, I guess for that time, it's accepted, but I was always all about programming your own drums. Whereas like Herb would he'd chop a portion of a drum loop and then spice it together, and that shit was cool. But for me, from a producer's perspective, you know, you gotta have your kick on one pad, your drum on your snare on another pad, your hi-hat another pad, and you gotta make your rhythm work like that. Whereas if you listen to a lot of the songs that they did, it was kind of like a loop, or they just had like a kick and snare on one part and another part, and they just made it work. And it's just from my ear and my mindset, that bothered me a little bit. You know what I mean? But just the way he that aside, his concepts and what he wanted to do and bring the dudes to get, you know, bring his boys out, like Kid and Play, their both name is Chris, I believe, and they were just his friends. They were my brother's friends. They just hung out, and he just like, yo, we're gonna do a group. This was you gonna do this, you gonna do this, and he'd write the rhymes and everything, and he was just a mastermind from that perspective. And you know, so Hurby just can't be denied as a visionary. I guess that would be the best word. He was a visionary. Visionary to me, that was his best hat, being the visionary as opposed to the actual technical programming and everything. That came maybe second or third, but he had the vision of what he wanted to do with Salt and Pepper and Dana Dan and everybody. He just executed it, you know.
Right.
So yeah.
And real quick, before we go on with that, I want to shout out this album, Dana Dane with Fame. I know, you know, we talked about certain joints on it, but again, I got to remember, it's not just us sitting in the room. People are watching. We got younger people following. So Dana Dane with Fame, very dope album. Like I always tell people, if you're listening to this for the first time, you got to go back to 1987. You know what I mean? You got to get in that mind frame. You got to play some. I always tell young people, play a couple of songs from 87, then throw this in the mix somewhere. You know, you can't go from listening to J. Cole's new album and then listen to this. You can't. Like it don't fit, you know. So, but at the time, like Dana Dane, very dope artist. You know, even though he was like, you know, I've heard people call him the Broke Slick Rick. You know, they was all in the Kango crew together, whatever. But you know, Dana Dane, very dope album. Vern, what do you think about Herb as a producer, man?
I liked him, man, for his musicality, man. His the go-go rhythms. I think he didn't try to be who he wasn't, and I think that vision, as you said, he imparted that upon his crew, and they had, you know, some modicums of success because of it. So Herbie needs to be mentioned more, you know, because you got to. It's a lot of hits out of those 6 groups we talking about, man. So it has to be something to be said for that.
A lot of hits. Kel, what you think, bro?
I agree with Vern and Roots too. I mean, I think, especially if you look at today, you have sounds, you have different. You can tell producers back then were trying to craft their own sound, and Herbie got his own lane. It was different from Marley, or I know how you feel about Marley, but they're from Marley.
No, I don't got no beef with Marley.
You know, or Eric Sermon, or whoever, just a different sound from back then. So I think he crafted his own thing. You knew the groups that he worked with. He was cranking out hits. I mean, you can't deny it. You can't deny his impact.
All right. What about you, Ralph?
I agree with everybody. Like I feel like his biggest stamp is like his vision. Like, you know what I'm saying? The plan and how he mapped everything out. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the stuff that he did with those groups and stuff have been copied later on. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like while he was a good producer, for me in my mind, it's like Ruth said, he's just a visionary and deserves the respect. And for that time, like that just brings back like good memories for people. I know I was a little younger than a couple of y'all, but I remember it. It was a good time. It was fun. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we owe him that respect for that moment in time that he gave us. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Great point. JR, what about you?
I agree with everybody. I do. I just think he was a visionary. He was definitely ahead of his time for real. But like Ev said, it's like he gave, or like you said, he gave a different sound to every group, but you knew they were all together. But the sound was different, but you knew they were all together. You know what I mean? So he's just a visionary, and I think again he should be respected more for it. It was the fun hip hop, and we don't clearly have that anymore. But that's neither here nor there. But he was a visionary for real. So,
all right, and Eddie.
Yeah, I gotta agree with everything, and what JR said about the fun hip hop. Like I said, me being a kid, and that's kind of what I gravitated to. But he created superstars. I mean, people say what they want about Kid and Play. I mean, everyone's seen House Party.
Yes.
And they don't. They don't get that if they weren't dope with their music first and foremost. You know what I mean?
True.
So the music was dope, and then they became stars like that. And Salt and Pepper, I mean, just had their movie on whatever network. You know what I mean? So superstars. Dana Dame was dope. Kwame, very underrated. All of them. And had his kind of signature that tied it in, even though they kind of all had their own signature sound, but you could tell it was all tied in. So it was really dope.
All right, tell me this: who's your favorite group out this clip? Mine's a Salt and Pepper. I was an 11-year-old boy. Salt and Pepper. Again, Pusha is probably the most watched video ever for me. Them black spandex suits. I mean, come on, bro. Like that was the Meg Thee Stallion. That's what they doing now. Like that was our Meg Thee Stallion back then. Biker shorts and shake your thing. Like, you know what I mean? So for me, it's Salt and Pepper. And then even we just get past the looks, longevity. You know what I mean? Like when you just look at, even though after a while they weren't making the music that I wanted to hear, their music always got to air. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like, I heard, who didn't hear What a Man? I didn't want to hear What a Man, but I heard What a Man. You know,
Let's talk about
who
sex.
didn't hear Let's Talk About Sex? I didn't want to hear Let's Talk About Sex, but I heard Let's Talk About Sex. Like I also have to give credit to where you're that big and you're still able to make good music. You know, Shoot. I mean, I didn't want to hear Shoot at
didn't want to hear, but
I heard Shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then like we said, they still got all the bangers that they came up with. So, you know, Salt and Pepper is my favorite group out of this crew. What about you, Kel?
Me, I think I got Kid and Play. Kid and Play. I mean, I was trying to, you know, the videos, like I said, the music one thing, but the music videos, the dance and the fun, this looked like it was all fun to them, to me.
Yeah.
And kind of like I said, the Italian movies, Italian house party. It's them. They were just it for me. I just love them.
I'll tell you this: when you get a chance, go to YouTube and put in Kid and Play last night. They got a video performance from like some little video show, I guess, back in Queens. And you could tell you could tell they dance steps weren't there yet because they was doing some stuff, and I was like, yo, this looks whack as shit. But so I had to commend them because I'm like, between this and Do This My Way, y'all must have went to like the Debbie Allen dance school or something. Y'all niggas looking like watch this and then go watch Do This My Way.
Debbie Allen.
Debbie Allen was like, it's costing pain and sweat or whatever Debbie said on Fame.
They got fired from off of 5 Heartbeats, man.
Yeah, she got somebody happening. They got much better. Roots, what about you, bro? Who's your favorite crew out this clip?
I mean, for me, it's Kwame and his crew. You know what I'm saying? That was my favorite. Just I got a connection with Kwame, and that was my boy. I mean, I don't see him that much. We do speak every once in a while, maybe once a year. But to be honest with you, I mean, the bug for me wanting to make beats and just pursue the career in music, it came from Hurby and actually seeing Kwame. I mean, Kwame is a kid that we used to play and draw together and fight which was better. He's a fan of DC Comics. I'm a fan of Marvel, and we used to argue for hours in his basement about who could beat who as far as the superheroes are concerned. And to go from that and then to see him, you know, actually get a deal and perform and all that and just go all over, I was like, wow, that shit can happen. I gotta make beats. I can do this. You know what I mean? So that connection makes me, you know, Kwame's album, his first album, was just like, wow. It made me really believe, like, yo, shit can happen for anybody. Like, you could do it. You know, so yeah, that was him and his crew was like my favorite crew out of the whole Hurby thing.
Yo, it's crazy. Tell me this, man, because this is one of the reasons I love going to New York every year and staying for the whole summer was because, like, you could be walking down the street, like, I'm sure even for you guys in New York, but I can speak for myself in Philly. Rappers to me were like superheroes. You know what I mean? Like it was literally like it literally would have been like me walking down the street and I see Animal and Hawk and Paul Ellering. You know, like it's like, yo, it's the fucking Road Warriors. Like, yo, the hell, like
I would have lost my mind as a kid.
Like, yo, can you just imagine bro, we are on Ogas Avenue and Animal and Hawk coming out to McDonald's on Ogas Avenue. It's like,
I
yo,
would have lost my mind.
So Roots is crazy for me to hear that you are growing up chilling in Kwame's basement. Like, yo, how do you mix those things together that you literally know these people, you know, and going on to what you become the producer, you know, extraordinaire and everything you've done in the industry. How was that? How was that going from arguing with Kwame to just turning on Rap City one day and you see his video?
Yeah, it's surreal. It's surreal, and it listen. I've never been a hater. I've never been somebody. I've always had, you know, I think black folks gotta learn, and I guess it goes back to slavery or whatever. But black folks gotta learn to look at themselves in another person. You know, I think that's our biggest problem as a community. You know, if you see somebody else doing bad, you're like, that's him, that ain't me. Whereas I don't know where I got it from, but I have a connection to every individual. You know what I'm saying? That I meet or I'm around. If I need help and they look like me, I'm like, yo, that could be my fourth cousin or third cousin. So I'm gonna try to help
or if somebody's successful, I feel like I'm successful. You know, Jay-Z has a line where he says, "When you see me, you see you." Like you ain't gotta hate on me. If I'm winning for all of us. You know what I mean? So when Kwame started getting it like that, I was like, oh shit, we made it. Even though I was like, because really we was dreaming about going to school together. Like, yo, we gonna go to Hampton. Let's go to Hampton. We gonna get bitches, and then you know I got accepted to Morgan, and he got his deal. He never went to college because he got the deal. So we never got to do that. But so when he got his deal, I was happy, and I would be in high school telling people, yo, that's my man. They'd be like, you don't know him, and it was, you know, it's funny, but they would throw part. Listen, Hurby's house is on Humphrey Street, not far from my house. They would throw these parties. I mean, I was in junior high going to high school, and they would throw these parties, and everybody would be there. Coogee Rap would be. It's in the backyard, and Salt would come up in a white 911 Porsche. I didn't even know a black person could own a Porsche. Only people that had a Porsche, it was white men. Like, yo, you got a Porsche? You know what I'm saying? So it was that type of crowd, and anybody you could think of in the 80s that was Bismarcky was back there. Everybody in the whole neighborhood, it would shut down the whole block. It would just be a sea of black people, music and food, and just to see all those artists from the music videos, from music box on the block in the neighborhood. It made you be like, oh my God, this is real. It can happen. So that's where the bug happened for me. I went into college. I was like, yo, I got to do music. You know what I mean? That's why I met you, and you know what I'm saying, Bezo and Shadi. You know what I'm saying? We started doing music. So just seeing those people and seeing what happens is when somebody looks like you or somebody's from your community becomes successful, it really can help you. It gives you the boost. It gives you the fortitude to believe that it can happen for you too. So seeing Kwame and Hurby and them do that instilled in me the drive to try to get a piece of it. You know,
that's dope.
I talk a little bit too much. I'm sorry, but
no, bro. Your story is so incredible to me because I've seen pictures of you and Eric B when you was in fucking, what was that, middle school or high school?
Right.
Like, and you got pictures with Eric
brother.
B. Like that's crazy to me, man.
That's my brother's friend. We know him as Hook in the neighborhood. That's what everybody calls him, Hook. So that's my brother's friend. So I would be coming home from school and he'd just be on the stoop talking to my brother. You know what I'm saying?
That's
this
crazy.
is like after the album.
Like, how do you come home from school and Eric B from fucking Eric B and Rakim is
That's crazy,
on your stoop? Like, how do you? And this is just normal shit to you?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was normal. It was normal. It was normal shit because those guys was, before they were celebrities, they were just dudes in the handball court down the block in 127 Park. So, I mean, they're stars, but you call them by their regular names, and you just see them. You see his mother, or you see Kid and Play's mother. Kid and Play they're all from this neighborhood. So except for Salt and Pepper, they're from Jamaica, but you would see their mothers or whatever, and the key food down the block. So it was just normal. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, if I came home from school in 1989 and saw Eric B sitting on my goddamn step, bro, man, this shit. That's some crazy shit right there. All right, so I done lost focus from where I was. I don't even know what the question was.
You asked who was your favorite
Oh, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? All right, Rel, who was your favorite group out the crew?
Kid and Play.
All right.
Yeah.
From the videos, man, the fashion, the movie, you know what I'm saying, House Party, Tisha Campbell and the other chick, they were messing with a house party, you know what I mean, the dance off.
AJ Johnson.
AJ Johnson, yeah. The battle, when they battled each other, man, I mean, that was the vibe for me as coming up, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had the high top fade, you know what I mean? I couldn't get no.
Yeah, that's right, the hair.
Yeah, the hair. I mean, they were trendsetters to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
It was so funny because I had the high top fade, and I never used Afro Sheen in it until I seen House Party. And in the beginning, when he put in the house, I was like, yo, I was straight. I left the movie theater. I was working at Foot Locker, the mall, Shelton Mall. left the movie, went to the hair supply store, got some spray, and was spraying my high top fade. So yeah, definitely innovative.
And when I stole my mom's car, I thought I was gonna get the treatment like Kid when he came home from the party. You know what I mean?
Robin Harris.
Cause because if she would have been awake, that's what it would have been. Yeah, it'd have been ugly. It'd have been ugly.
Right. Bro, did I ask you? I can't even remember.
No, you didn't.
All right, who's your favorite?
It's so easy to make them fall for me, heifer. No man can resist salt and pepper. I'm like, you ain't lying, baby. You ain't lying.
I feel you. Cal, did I come to you?
Yeah.
All right, JR, who's your favorite?
All right. For my mom, I'm gonna say Salt and Pepper because them her girls, like for real, like hands down for real. But for me, it's Kwame because how he did his resurgence after all of that bull. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up like producing everybody, doing scores, doing movie scores. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Producing for, you know what I'm saying? Christina Aguilera and all these other people. It was like, yo, y'all sleep on this
K1, right?
but look on them album credits. He got a lot of joints that you don't think. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm gonna say Kwame for real.
Yeah.
Bro, I was about to say he's got a joint on here called Understand that he did.
Understand, yeah. That's my favorite album from her anyway.
Bananas.
Well, what album is that?
This is
Christina Aguilera.
Back to Basics.
Oh, Christina Aguilera. Okay.
Now keep in mind, Primo produced 8 songs off this album.
Yes, he did. Yep.
My favorite song is by Kwame. It's called Understand.
Okay.
So that tells you something that Primo did like 6 songs off this joint. Kwame did 1, and that's my favorite song. And then this is still Primo.
That's great.
Like
That's
you know, and Kwame did that joint, which is crazy. Eddie, what about you, good brother?
Oh man, damn, that was I gotta shout out JR, man. That was a great point. I totally forgot about Kwame transitioning to the producer, and you know, he produced one of my favorite Kweli joints or newer Kweli joints. Listen, I think he did that joint really dope. But for me, I gotta go with Kid and Play. Like I'm between Kid and Play and Salt and Pepper, but like I think influence wise, like from young age and all that, like definitely Kid and Play. You know, with the music and the dances and movie, all that.
All right, no doubt. Now, one of my young boys was asking, you know, Kill, you always shout out these groups, these crews or whatever, but what happened to them? You know what I mean? So let's try to, you know, and again, this is no diss. This is still a salute show, but I do know that there are people that are going to be like, yo, well, what happened? You know what I mean? Why did they fall off? And for me, the reason they fell off was because by the time anything post Straight Outta Compton from 1989 on, hip hop just became too hard. Hip hop became too hard. Again, I tell people, G-Rap's first album, no curses. G-Rap's second album, 879 curses. You know, you don't go from being fucking Bill Cosby to Eddie Murphy overnight. Like, and I can't see Kid and Play cursing. I can't see Kwame cursing. I can't see Salt and Pepper. Like, that just wasn't their speed. So to me, hip hop got too hard. And then 2, a lot of them by their second album, they left her. You know what I mean? And Kwame was one of the few people who was able to come out with a second album that was produced by himself that was very dope. But like we all said, it was slept on. But I think it was slept on because by the time it dropped in 91, hip hop is we're gone. We're everybody's from Compton. Everybody is on some gangster stuff. So I think that like only You gets played. But if you ask the average hip hop head, name you another song off that second album, they have no idea. They have no idea because hip hop was just too hard at that time. Kid and Play's second album basically flopped. Dana Dane's second album basically flopped. Sweet Tea never had a second album. What else? Who else? Antoinette never had a second album. You know, so the only person who really survived after the first album was Salt and Pepper. You know, and I think if Salt and Pepper didn't go a little popish, they would have fell off.
They would have fell off.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think a mixture between those two things. It was kind of like the same thing with Marley. When you look at everybody's second album out the Juice Crew, Marley wasn't a part of it. I think Marley only did maybe 1 or 2 songs on Kane's second album. You know, G-Rap, I think by the second album, he was dealing with Large Professor. You know, so MC Shan, Born to Be Wild was the second album, but Shan was before everybody else. So by the third Shan album, it was already. So I think that was why they kind of disappeared. Roots, what do you think? Where do you think the breakdown came in this crew?
I think it's just that. I think the music always is going to change, and you know, you got to kind of adapt with it, and that's what it is. But sometimes if being true to yourself means that you're not going to be able to adapt. So these people were fun-loving people. It's not, you know, it was the crack epidemic, and people wanted the reality rap, and that was the demise of the fun rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you hear it in the lyrics. I mean, you know, you got Biggie making fun of Kwame, and Kwame had to stay in the shadows just because of that one line.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I was about to ask about that.
Like, yo, quiet as kept. Kwame linked up with Ron Lawrence. That's Ron.
Amin Ra.
I forgot his
Ron Ra. Yeah.
Amin Ra. I just call him Ron Lawrence, right? So Ron Lawrence linked up with him. They did mad joints for LL Cool J in like late 90s, early 2000s. And Kwame did it underneath the name K1 because he thought that he was going to get backlash. He just ripped the name Kwame. You know what I'm saying?
He did some on G Unit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did On Fire.
Yeah. He did On Fire for Lloyd Banks. Yeah, but the thing about it is, it's really shameful for the community too, because you know, when I look at white folks when they do a great album, like John Cougar Mellencamp could do an album, and it'll be one type of music or whatever the case may be, and then the next album he'll do a whole different type of genre of music, and his fans will give him the opportunity to express himself like that, right? But with our music, it's like, no, we're going with, it's got to be hard hip hop, and if you ain't killing 1,000 people in your songs and cursing people out and choking girls in the neck, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? But why can't we have simultaneously this cookout, fun-loving music, and also have the street shit? But you know, honestly, if you ask me, it's because somebody else dictates what the narrative and what our narrative is, instead of allowing us to have different facets of the music at the same time. So yeah, I'm just going around in a circle, agreeing with what you're saying. The street reality rap was ushered in, and this genre of music and this element of hip hop just kind of like fell through the cracks. You know what I'm saying?
And the hard part about it is that because once NWA won and started selling records, you know, hip hop at that time, for people who were watching, wasn't selling like. The shit was going gold. That was some EPMD shit. You know, 90 days later, the LP went gold. So what you saying? Once that million hit plateau hit, the record industry was now like, we got it. See, before they didn't know. It was like, just go in the studio and do whatever the fuck y'all want to do. Which is why, to me, the 80s was my golden era, because you got what people wanted to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. After this, now you have to now be tied into this place of, and I don't know, Roots, maybe you could tell me. Me and Ev always go back and forth with G-Rap. Do you think G-Rap wanted to curse on the first album and Cold Chillin' was like, nah, we don't curse in hip-hop? Or do you, and then the second album came out, that was the case? Okay. I always thought it was the opposite. Maybe G-Rap didn't want to curse. And then by the second album, the label was like, nah, nigga, go in there and go crazy. Curse up a storm. You know, but because it's hard to go from not cursing at all to Talk Like Sex has more curses on it. Than the average album band. You know what I mean? Like, Talk Like Sex is what taught me how to have sex in a very bad way. So don't ever let your hip hop teach your kids about sex. But you know,
G-Rap was always hard. He was always hard. And G-Rap, once again, he went to that same school that I went to, that Steve went to, that Kwame went to, that Hurby, that my brother went to. We all went to that same school. He's older than me, so he was an upperclassman. I never forget. Now, this is a Catholic school, right? So there was a certain G-Rap. I don't know if it was his legal name, but at that time, he was going by the name of Abdul, right? Or Abdullah. And he wore kufa. And he had an earring in. Right. So you're talking about an earring and a kufi on in a Catholic school, they would be like,
no. Back then too.
yo, you gotta take that kufi off right now. And G-Rap would be like, I ain't taking this kufi. I ain't taking. They were like, yo, go home. And the whole school would be like, yo, he'd be like, I don't care, I'm out of here. He'd be cursing the sisters and the brothers out. And I don't mean sisters and brothers for the community. I mean, the school was friendly.
Right, you talk about the the nuns and the priests. Right.
Oh man.
Well,
Right.
Ev, obviously you're right.
And yo, he would be spending for like 2 days, and he'd come back with the earring on his shit. Still, like he didn't give a fuck. But the point I'm saying that to say, like, he had a disposition, like, yo, I'm gonna be who I am. I'm all about the streets. So if he wasn't cursing on his first album, that's because the label probably was like, yo, this is a fun-loving town, and he was probably like, nah, fuck that. Because in my opinion, Coogee Rap was the first gangster. I mean, we could say Schoolie D, but Coogee Rap was like, that nigga was hard. Long before his first album came out, he was spitting crazy shit in this neighborhood, yo. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah, I think they conditioned him to not curse on the album, not because he wanted.
All right, no doubt. But it shows you that from that point forward, record labels knew what was selling, and at that time of point, fun rap wasn't selling. Because here's the thing, yo.
Yep.
Rap was fun. It's not like Hurby invented fun rap. It just during that era you could have fun. That was allowed.
Right.
And the dopest thing about it was before, like really post Straight Outta Compton. Somebody had just sent me something today, if I could find it on Twitter. It was a Boys in the Hood tour. It was NWA, Heavy D, Salt and Pepper. Like, that was the thing about hip-hop back in the day. You could have an NWA, Heavy D, Salt and Pepper tour. How? How do you have that tour? How do you have fucking Police with Heavy D coming on with the boys?
You know why? At that time, if you was rap, there was a fraternity. It wasn't so segregated in genres. There's like, oh man, we all trying to come up in this thing, and that's how you had De La. Yeah.
The other thing was everybody had love for each other.
Yeah.
NWA was like, yo, Heavy, we love your stuff. And it was a mutual respect. So I think after that happened, Vern, why do you think they fell off?
Man, you summed it up. I mean, it changed, man. It's kind of like the song I Used to Love Her. Everybody went to Compton, took it to the sewer, slam. That fun stuff, man. No, we slap our mothers now, man. We cuss our grandmoms out now. Right. So that we ain't on that no more. And that was their demise. And to your point, that's why I'm glad for Salt and Pepper that they did go pop, because if they try to stay in that hip hop lane, they would be done.
Right. And the hard part about it, bro, is that it's not just hip hop, but it was just that time. It was that time and space. Like I was telling my young boy the other day, it was a time when me and one of my peoples was beef. You do mama jokes, talking some mom shit. Mm-hmm. I went too far with somebody once, and I didn't realize his older brother was like the neighborhood Debo or whatever. You know what I mean? So this nigga was looking for me, and I was finding new ways to get home from school every day to avoid this nigga. Because I'm in 8th grade, so I'm like 13, and this nigga's like 18, and he is a real nigga. So I'm trying to find new ways. He knocked on my door, and my grandmother answered the door, and they was like, "Yo, where Kill at?" She was like, "He's not here." He was like, "Yo, let him know Tree looking for him." And he left. His last name was Round. So he's like, tell him Tree looking for him, and he left. And I'm thinking about that now. And the crazy thing is if that happened right now, what probably would have happened? He would have probably smacked my grandma.
Right.
Or did some because niggas don't give a fuck no more. Yep. Niggas don't care. Yep. Like, yo, fuck this. We walked all this way, fuck her up. And it's just so sad to see that that's where the neighborhood, even though these niggas wanted to whoop my ass, it was like, well, tell them we looking for him. Like, it was still enough respect to be like, we ain't even gonna curse your grandmother out. We ain't gonna say nothing. It's just gonna be like, tell them we looking for him, and that's it.
Hold up. I don't remember the name of the artist, but there's a rapper in Chicago. He got beef with these other rappers, and they were looking for him. They caught him to the grandparents and killed his grandparents.
Yeah, they burnt down the house. They burnt the house down.
That's terrible. These niggas took a casket out of a funeral, bro.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
but this is what I'm talking about. That it's not just hip hop. It was just the culture in itself. Like Root said, yo, you burnt down somebody's house with their grandparents in it over some rat beef. You know what I mean? So just to say, like, not just was, hip hop is just the streets are out of control and everything like that. Kel, what do you think? Same thing with why they fell off, or?
I think partially, but I also think too. I think you got to look at, obviously we've all said it during this. We haven't really talked about, in the previous shows, we talked about bars, lyrics, how lyrical they are.
Good point.
None of these artists were as lyrical as some. None of them are in our top fives, or top tens, maybe in top 20.
That's real.
Right. I think the emphasis on lyrics around the time, early 90s, mid 90s, all these spitters out there. So I'm thinking too, is like, they're not able to keep up with them and compete. So I think a lot of that has to do with it too.
Right. That's a great point, because Kid and Play were not going to kill in no cipher. Like, they were not going to shut the cipher down. They weren't going to bar you to death. That. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. So great point too. Ralph, what about you?
I mean, y'all pretty much summed it up for real. I mean, just the times changed, man, and for them, like, to try to change with the times, it would have been even worse. Like,
it would have been disastrous.
It would have been even worse if Kid and Play came out with an album where they were cussing and shooting people. You know what I'm saying? That shit would have been corny, right? You know what I'm saying?
And here's the wild part.
Yep. And here's the wild part. The reaction.
From their little documentary, they were saying Kid was really a wild nigga. Like, Kid was a stick-up kid, which is wild. You know what I mean? But it's funny because, you had the shirt on, Naughty by Nature, right around the time that second Kid and Play album. You're talking about Tretch coming out.
Yeah,
and even if Tretch could give you OPP, he still had them bars. Right. Still had that rugged.
He in a video with a hatchet and goddamn Hernandez chain. So you know what I'm saying? But it's funny. The Biggie line about Kwame Roots. How did he take that line? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he talked about it on Unsung. Watch it. There's an Unsung episode with Kwame. Okay. Yeah, check it out.
He talked about it. Oh yeah.
Okay, I always wondered about that. You know what I'm saying? Because that was like that for people that didn't know about him like that and didn't do the science. They took that and like he was just corny. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? And I always wondered how he felt about that, because I mean, talk about him all you want. His resurgence as a producer, like he out there, man. His credits is solidified. You know what I'm saying? So I just always wondered about that. You know what I'm saying? That was an interesting line. You know what I mean?
That. But I always looked at it as a metaphorical expression of it wasn't really so much as a hit on Kwame as to say, like, Biggie was saying, like, yo, street reality rap is here. That era is done with. That's what he was really saying with that line. You know what I mean? Like, yo, take off that polka dot shit. Right. Like, we wearing Timbs and field jackets now. That's where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? And everybody.
But he became the scapegoat, right?
Yeah, he was a scapegoat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what it was. But unfortunately, yeah, man, he had to wear his hat low for a while because of that line.
Man, I remember the UMCs from their first album to their second album.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I'm like,
that's a good point.
Hey, man, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Like, cause that first album was on my wall. The UMC, that's one of my favorite hip hop albums ever. So for them to go from that to that, I'm like, hey, I ain't on that train.
Yeah. And the hard part now is, now that we're older and looking at it like this, like, the hard part is like, dog, you got a record contract. Like, you gonna do whatever the fuck we tell you to do in a now at that time you're not thinking that, we're kids, so we don't understand the music business, and it's just like, oh, they sold out, or nigga, you can't go from being blue cheese and dancing and now you wilding all of a sudden. But if that's what the label say to do, that's what you gotta do. Gerald, what about you? Why you think they disappeared?
You nipped it in the bud for real, because music changes. It's not gonna stay the same. So it's like after a while, it's gotta be changing. Like y'all said, if Salt and Pepper didn't do those pop-ish records, they wouldn't have gotten far either. They would have been right with Kwame, would have been right with Danny, would have been right with them. So it's like you kind of gotta roll with the times, and if you don't, you get left behind. So a lot of them did, and thank God Kid and Play did do House Party. You know what I mean? So they got into another realm of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just the time change. Music don't stay the same all the time. So you know, I wanted to change now.
I got a question though about that. Why doesn't like what other genres they have like a niche, like so like for R&B for instance, right? Like you wouldn't listen to somebody like Will Downing now. You know what I'm saying? But it's people that listen to him. You feel what I'm saying? I'm trying to like, why isn't like niche?
Oh, he still got his
hip-hop?
fan base, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he still has people like the old heads. They go put on their linen and go see him in concert. You feel what I'm saying?
No, you did.
Yo, man, I like fucking Will Downing, nigga, and I'm put on a polo shirt.
Will
I ain't wearing no
Downing,
linen.
What I'm saying is like
I got
younger,
it.
you know what I'm saying?
I know what
People
you're
that-
saying, bro.
Yeah.
They would be like, who is that? You know what I'm saying? But with other genres, they have their niche and they can continue to make music. And why is it so hard for hip hop?
Oh, I see what you're saying too. I mean, I'm just before you answer, Vern, to your point, Barbara Streisand, she had like a concert. She had a concert for like 10 years or something. She go and sell the Garden 2 nights in a row.
Yeah,
And selling them for like $500 to $1,000 a pop.
You know, right?
Like, it's crazy to me, dog. But our people gotta go and get 3 and 4 people at one time on a tour with each other just to sell out. It's crazy, dog.
What you gonna say, Vern?
Go ahead, Vern. I'm
What
sorry.
you gonna say, Vern?
Muted.
You muted.
Hip hop is a youth dominated culture, and
Right.
you got to think LL and them 16, 17, they clowning Kool Moe Dee. You old, bro. I'm 28. What do you mean? You know, and it's almost disposable. So it's always the new flavor of the month thing. You remember Run DMC was done until Pete did the Down with the King joint, man.
And that was really a great album.
It really was. I mean, because Run talking about trying to flip, like, no, it ain't you no more. But what it is, man, to me, it's okay. Who's next? Okay, who's next? Who's next?
Right.
That's good, but we ain't on that no more. Who's next? And go ahead.
So can we really blame? So can we really blame like some of these groups for trying this different stuff? I remember.
No.
Remember Run DMC came out with Pause and it was like New Jack Swing.
Right.
Yep.
Like, can you really blame them? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
You gotta make money.
They try to stay relevant.
You can't blame them because the industry. Here's the thing. One thing Trent said in this movie, Rhyme or Reason, he said, if I wasn't with this record deal, I'd be in your house robbing you right now. So if this is all you got, it's almost like when your boss at work tells you to do something maybe that don't sit right with your spirit. You either gonna do it or you're gonna lose your job. You know what I mean? So some people gonna lose their job, and then those will be the rappers we never hear from again. The other people gonna try it, and it's not gonna work, you know. But
it's not gonna work.
Remember, a lot of these people were kids. These are kids. You know what I mean? So you don't even have the mentality to be like, all right, let's really think about this. Like, to me, that's why Gangstar was so different. Because Guru was like 28 when Words I Manifest came out. You know what I mean? So he was old enough to understand and say, yo, Primo, you can't just DJ. If you want to sign this record contract, you're going to have to do something else. And that's what got Primo into making beats. But if Guru is 15 when that happens and him and Premier are just friends, they're both going to sign that record contract because they're not thinking from a business standpoint. They're just like, yo, you're my man. Let's do this together. You know what I mean? And Vern, your point is excellent about we're gonna always diss the old people. Kool Moe Dee, I'm a diss Busy B because you old. I'm the new thing. And here comes LL. I'm a diss you because you old and I'm the new thing. And you know, all those people we grew up loving, Fat Boys, Run DMC, the people who are my foundation of hip hop, Run DMC was played out by 90. The Fat Boys were played out by 90. Houdini was played out by 90.
Yep.
The Beastie Boys were probably the only ones. The Beasties and LL were the only two that kind of was still creeping into the 90s. You know what I mean? And Mama said really saved LL because after that, he would have paid for it. If he would have had another dud in the water, it would have been different. And if you, I don't know if y'all watched it, but if you didn't watch that Beastie Boys documentary on Apple TV, amazing, amazing. Made me go back and listen to all that shit. I stopped checking for the Beastie Boys after License to Ill. I wasn't a fan of Paul's Boutique. Check your head, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. Eddie, I'm gonna get to you. What I want to just say too is that I don't think as black folk, I don't think we're taught to grow in a genre and grow with the genre. And what I mean by that is when I first started listening to gospel music, and I've told the story before, my wife brought me CeCe Winans' album Everlasting Love. Loved it. One of my favorite gospel albums ever. And her next album comes out. I run and go buy it, and I'm like, yo, what is this? And it's like, oh, no, Kill, this isn't contemporary gospel. This is praise and worship gospel. And I was like, oh, I don't like praise and worship gospel. See, in gospel, they have different genres that the artist will do. So now what I'm doing now is, but here's the thing, since I learned that, because if nobody told me that, I would be like, oh, CeCe Winans is whack. Her second album was whack. She fell off. But because somebody explained that to me, I'm like, oh, okay, so I just need to wait until she does contemporary again. See, we weren't taught to do that as a hip hop listener. We weren't taught, oh, okay, this is just, it's why, imagine if Gangstar never not broke up, but allowed Guru to do Jazzmatazz. And a Jazzmatazz was a Gangstar album. If we heard Jazzmatazz after, I don't know, Daily Operation, I would have been heavily disappointed. Like, yo, this shit is whack. Like, I don't want to hear no Donald Byrd playing the sax. Like, where the drums? But because they separated the two, and they're like, no, this is Guru's Jazzmatazz. He's getting with jazz musicians. If you want to hear jazz music, listen to this shit. This is Gangstar over here. We're not taught that in hip hop. We're not taught that in black music to allow artists to do certain things and come back around. A new artist that does it right now is Dave East. A lot of people I know don't fuck with Dave East because Dave East will do some boom bap, then he'll turn around and do some trap, and then he'll turn around and do something else. And I'm like, I get what he's trying to do because he's a young dude. I can't make no 32-year-old nigga make music for a 47-year-old nigga all the time. Because if you're 32, you probably like trap. So you should make some trap. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I kind of get that, but it's all off that gospel example. So I'm never like, oh, Dave East fell off because I don't like his next album. I just realized I got to wait till it's almost like the merry-go-round. I just got to wait till it's my time to get back on it. And that's what as black folk, we don't know how to do. We're just taught this all the time. You know what I mean? And again, I keep using Gangstar because I think it was that maturity of Guru being a grown-ass man. Premier being a grown-ass man, being able to explain it to the listeners. This is Jazzmatazz. This is Gangstar. Don't compare the two. They're two totally different things. So when I went into Jazzmatazz, I didn't want to hear no hard beats. I didn't want to hear no scratches. I knew that I was going to be hearing Lonnie Liston Smith. I was going to be hearing Roy Ayers. I was going to be hearing Donald Byrd. And I was able to love it for that. If they never gave us that fucking FYI, this shit ain't Gangstar, and that was a Gangstar album, Gangstar's whole legacy may be dead. Because we would have listened to that and would have been like, yo, this shit is whack. I'm sorry, Eddie, what were you going to say?
Oh, yeah. Funny, since you're talking about, I just got that Jazzmatazz on vinyl because I'm like, my son, my 6-year-old, he's into music. Like, he's into jazz because my father-in-law is a musician, and he's into hip-hop because I've been playing. And I was like, man, that would be perfect, for him to get into, too. But, about the Love Bug crew, like, hip-hop was still very young at that time. And, like, evolving so much, like, I think, at the age I was, like, it's kind of like growing up with it. Like when you're older, you kind of see it in a different way, right? But when you're young and kind of growing up with it, it's like it was really changing, like the production, like the way music was being produced, like the innovation, right? I guess that's the word I'm looking for, the innovation in both the beats and the rhymes, right? So now you have like 90, 91, music sounded more innovative. Then 93, when Wu-Tang came out, like that shit blew my mind. Like it's kind of hard to go back to something, and it's one thing to have the fun hip hop, right? But it's almost like it's almost like the Matrix. Now you're seeing it a whole different way. Like your mind is open up, right? Like how people talk about what Rakim did with rhyme patterns and stuff. Now you're listening to MCs with the old rhyme patterns. It just don't sound the same anymore.
Right.
So I think that's part of what it was.
Yeah, especially if you weren't there, because it's hard to give Run DMC's first album to a 22-year-old like, yo, this was the shit. Roots, you're in the industry, bro. What do you see it moving and shifting and changing and everything?
What for the future? Or are you saying why?
No,
why,
just that change where how like you set it off with the why can John Cougar Mellencamp do this and why? What do you think? What part does the industry play in shaping what comes next?
Yeah, I think the industry plays a big part, man. You know what I mean? And there's a handful of people. Listen, it's like that with all of society, but the masses don't want to believe it. But it's a handful of people that dictate, like, nah, we're gonna make the music go like this, and then within 6 months, the music will be going like that, and then the radio, everybody falls into place, and then within a year, the music's, hip hop particularly sounds a certain way, and it's because of these people at the higher up, they make the decision. I mean, you could always have a Maverick song that comes out that goes against the grain, you know what I mean? But for the most part, it's people in the industry that like these mavens that make the decision. You know what I'm saying? And that's unfortunate. But to what Rel was saying, I think that a lot of times the older people in the community, like we're the older folks, right? We have the responsibility to make sure the younger people know what the music was like. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to listen to it as their music, but they should know the history. I'm gonna give you a case in point. Me and my old girlfriend, her homegirl worked for the publicity firm that represented Rolling Stone, right? The group. And she had tickets for us. I was like, yo, let's go. Me being a music head, I'm like, I'm never gonna buy tickets for Rolling Stone. And I got tickets to go see Rolling Stone. Let's go. And my girl is like R&B, hip hop at the time. She's like, oh man, you want to go that shit? I was like, for the spectacle of it, let's go. She's like, all right, fuck it. We went. It was at Giant Stadium. It was a sold out show. We get there. Yo, the whole stadium is filled. It's filled. And the tickets that we got, they say $2,500 a piece. They're $5,000 tickets. We're like 3 rows from the front. Her homegirl gave it to us. Yo, and people were offering us $1,500 for the tickets. And my girl was like, sell the tickets. We can go shopping. I was like, no, we're gonna go see this show, right? And I'll never forget this. So the show, the crowd wasn't completely, the stadium wasn't completely filled. It was about to be filled. They were like, are you ready for the opening act? And everybody started screaming. It might have been about 10 black people in the goddamn audience. And this is Giant Stadium in Jersey, right? And they were like, and now the opening act, Kanye West. And Kanye West came. We didn't even know Kanye West was opening for Rolling Stone. Kanye West was opening for Rolling Stone at Giant Stadium.
That's crazy.
I think this was the second album or the first album, right? Now, after Kanye West leaves, Rolling Stone comes out. And by the time Rolling Stone comes out, the whole stadium is full. And in front of us, there were people there with their kids, and the kids were like 7 years old, 8 years old. You see what I'm saying? And now my seats were $2,500 a seat. And these people are bringing their kids to see Rolling Stone. So what happens is now those kids were 7, 8 years old. The Rolling Stones is considered the greatest rock and roll group. First of all, rock and roll is black music, but that's another story. But they're considered the greatest rock and roll band ever, right? And those adults know that. So they want the legacy to continue by making sure their kids understand that music. And so we're not doing that. We're like, yo, there's a disconnect between us and the 19-year-olds and the 20-year-olds. So, my son lives in North Carolina, and I'll drive down there, scoop him, and then we'll keep going down to Florida to go visit my cousin. And throughout that whole drive, I'm playing Mobb Deep, I'm playing everything, and I'm explaining the music to him. This way, even if he continues, he's going to continue to listen to Gunna and Little Uzi Vert or whatever. But if the topic comes up, he's familiar with the music. And we got to do that. We got to make sure the generation after us understands our music. Otherwise, it dies. And that's why the music is always changing. Not to mention what you said. It's a youth. Who said that? I think Vern said it. It's a youth-oriented culture. So it's always going to flip anyway. There's nothing we could do about that because the youth runs hip-hop. But we gotta make sure that we're passing the baton on, and they're learning. You know what I mean? What the culture is before us and after us. So I think that's a big part of it that we're not doing. We're not our job.
And I always challenge, and I think that's a great point because I always challenge people. If you love this culture so much, how don't you teach your kids about it? Right. You know what I mean? Like I literally have been playing hip hop for Naomi from the second day she came home from the hospital. Like if you come over here and talk to Naomi, she let the barge come on. She knows the barge like I know the barge. You know what I mean? So, and that's what we're not doing with our kids. It's like, how if you have a son and you love basketball, I put the ball in his crib. I put the ball in his hand as soon as he was born. Are you doing that with hip hop though? We're not doing it. Hip hop?
We're not doing it. I was at my man's house. He got a 14-year-old kid, and he's on the laptop playing music. He's like, "Hey, Dad, look at this guy. This guy's great. He's different." And we walk over to the computer. It was Busta Rhymes, and we looked at each other. The kid never heard of Busta Rhymes. He was 14. He was amazed. He was looking at Busta Rhymes on the computer, and I was mad at my man. I was like, "How come your son don't know who Busta Rhymes is?" You know what I'm saying? Like we're not doing our job.
Man, listen. I used to when my daughter was in high school playing ball, she went to a magnet school, so 40-minute ride, and I would pick her and a couple of girls who lived in the neighborhood up to bring them home. All the way home. My daughter already knew what was up. This the one time you ain't getting no ratchetness. You finna learn Tribe, De La, Special Ed, all these things. So if you don't hear it no other time, when you with me, you gonna learn about it. I mean, my daughter is ahead when it comes to music. She put me on to the newer stuff that's in the vein of what I listen to. So we still constantly learning from each other. But to your point, Roots, we got to do that. There's no way in the world a 14-year-old dude shouldn't know who Busta Rhymes is.
Something interesting I see too is the parents kind of forget too like they're like, oh, I don't want to listen to Tribe. Well, I don't want to listen to Run DMC. I want to listen to something new. So it's kind of like they're forgetting their roots too.
But you know what I said about that, is that being at Morgan, I realized by hip hop being cool, if you were young and black from the hood, everybody listened to hip hop. Right. The problem is that when you graduate, there's a difference between the hip hop head and people who listen to hip hop. Right. A lot of people who just listen to hip hop, once they graduated and got in corporate America and started doing their thing, it's kind of like bye-bye hip-hop. Like, I'm not around that anymore. Like, I've had people who've asked me that we went to school with, like, yo, Kill, you still listen to hip-hop? I'm like, the fuck kind of question is that? Like, that's like asking somebody, like, do you still listen to R&B? Like, why would I even assume if I knew you loved R&B in college that you would not listen to R&B no more? So it also seemed like those people who weren't hip-hop heads, they left hip hop. I call them the housewives of Upper Marlboro, or the housewives of wherever. Like you're too good now to listen to hip hop. Like I don't listen to that shit no more. Like what's wrong with you, Kill? Like and again, it goes to show that you're trying to follow the leads. Like I said, I've been in church for 21 years, and people are questioning, Kill, you still listen to hip hop? Yeah, never gonna stop. Sorry, love Jesus just as much as you do, my brother. Nigga, I'm not giving away my CDs. Get off of that. Like hip hop is who I am, but for somebody else, you know how many records and CDs I came off of because people got saved and the pastor told them to get rid of their record collection, their secular music. Come, bring it on over. Bring it on over.
I did that.
I will gladly take your secular music. I will take it.
Kill. I was that person. I had a huge CD book. Gave it away, and I remember my friends at the time. They were like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Here, I'm gonna keep this, in the locker for you. You're gonna come back 2 days later.
Hey, Eddie's friend was like, "I won't sell it." He was like, "Giant."
He was giant in Mo Better Blues.
I won't
I
sell
won't
it.
sell it. I won't sell it, Bleak. I won't sell it. and again, please keep in mind, this is not a shot at nobody because Christianity. I've done some stuff that I'm like I'm not that I'm not proud of, but I had to learn my own walk with God. I'll say that. So number one, I was not throwing a shot at anybody who gave it away. I'm just saying for me that you have hip hop heads, you have people who listen to hip hop, and I feel like hip hop for some people it was a fad. You know, I have friends who have no idea who Griselda is, which is cool. Like, you know, because here's the hard part: how do you keep up with hip hop now? You know, we don't have the source, we don't have XXL. You know, we don't have these things anymore to keep our ears to the street. So all that to say, Roots, you're 100% right. We have to do a better job. And this is why I love doing this show. This is why I love having younger people on Twitter follow me and say, oh, gee, why is this happening? Or why was this good? Or, you know, I tell people in a minute, fuck Google, I'm your friend. You know, when Ecstasy died, I'm like, yo, ask me about Ecstasy. I'll tell you everything you need to know. When Steezo died, don't Google Steezo. Ask me. I'll tell you everything you need to know about Steezo. When Marky D died, same thing. Don't Google, fuck all Wikipedia, all that. Come ask me. I was there when Marky D was out. I can tell you why the Fat Boys were so dope. But you can tell a lot of these people don't have people schooling them to that. So like Root said, if you're spending $2,500 on a 7-year-old kid to make sure that this group's legacy is remembered, you know, we got to do that. You know, that's one of the biggest things with now. I was like, yo, once we outside opens back up, we going to all the concerts. We going everywhere together. You're going to see everybody. So tell me this. Does Hurby's crew make your top 5 crews in hip hop? I know for me, they don't, but that's not a knock because I know we live in a society where if you're not top 5, it's like you don't matter. Nigga, it's like 8 million MCs. If I make somebody's top 50, I am good. Like, yo, for real, you know. They don't because, I mean, you just had so many other crews who did it longer. Everybody who knows me, I'm big into longevity. So Wu-Tang, Boot Camp Click, the Hit Squad, you know, there are going to be squads before them. Do they make my top 10 crew? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. They do make my top 10. I will take them over Flavor Unit. I will take them over the God Squad. They're different people. So they make my top 10, not my top 5, but that's very hard to crack because, again, I'm about longevity. Roots, what about you? What do we call them? The idol makers. Do they make your top 5 hip-hop crews?
They don't make my top 5, but they're absolutely important to the culture. Absolutely important to the culture. I would say maybe my top. But there's, man, so many crews out there, man. It's like, come on. I mean, Wu-Tang's a crew right there, so you already know that's top 5. And
Juice crew,
you got Def Squad, you got
Native Tones,
Juice crew, you got Rock
Family,
you got Dungeon Family. So
tickets from Brownsville. There's a lot of crews, man.
Right.
You know,
but I love what you said. That
really important.
They're important.
They're very important. They play a huge part. Vern, what about you?
Yeah, they don't do top 5, but Root said they're very, very important. I mean, they were the first, one of the first crews that had people. I mean, Kid and Play went to movies and then had a cartoon. You know what I mean?
I forgot about the cartoon, Vern.
Yeah, you know, hip hop wasn't doing that.
Nah.
So they're important. Kwame, I just shot J.I. The joint he did with Algebra. Kwame reinvented himself. That's longevity, baby. That's something to be applauded, man. So yeah, they're very important.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Ralph?
Not my top 5, but very underrated and should be appreciated and mentioned more. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would say it. You know what I mean? Not my top 5, but that's not. I mean, top 5 with all these. I mean, that's not nothing bad
at all.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? They are important and very underrated and deserve the respect that we give them today.
Yeah, Cal, what about you, bro?
Yeah, I'm with everybody else. I got them right outside my top 5. I was trying to make a list earlier when you hit me before, and I was like, I'm like at 7. You know, I got Gangsta Foundation, VITC, They have tongues all them, but yeah, but now their legacy is cemented. Though. They've forged. People know about them. I think they can't be taken for granted what they did.
Right. JR?
I agree with everybody. They're not in my top, but they're definitely important. And I'm glad you did this, so now people can see how important they really were. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right. Sometimes I think with hip hop, with the younger generation, you gotta do that shit like like on The Wire, or like in cop movies where they got the target and they got the strings pointing everywhere. You really need to see because I know somebody is gonna be like, oh shit, I didn't know he produced for Kid and Play, or I didn't know that they was even. Because here's the thing, they kind of will pop up in each other's videos all the time, but I'm sure there are people out there who really don't even know that they were a crew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't really remember Dana Dane. I think Dana Dane was in The Man We All Know and Love, but I don't think they were in Dana's videos. I don't know if Dana was in Salt and Pepper's videos. So, again, yeah, maybe. But, just trying to connect the dots. Eddie, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with everyone. They're probably they might be top 10. I mean, I think influence-wise, they're definitely up there, like underrated wise. They had their moment in hip hop that's undeniable. They had their impact. I just think, if you talk about crews and music wise, I just think that there's other crews that are much stronger from that perspective.
Right. No doubt. So for everybody watching, where to get started with, I'm starting everybody off with Hot, Cool, and Vicious.
Yes.
First. Listen to this album. I mean, the rhymes are on point. Again, I don't care if they wrote their rhymes or not at this point in time. In hip hop, it was this was a rules change. And people ask me about this. I'm gonna say it just like this. For people who watch ball, think about hand checking rules. Yep. Those rules change over time. You know what I mean? So during these days, hip hop was just fun. It wasn't about who was writing their rhymes. So when I talk about ghostwriting post 90, one of the reasons I call it post 90 is because that's when, like Kelvin said, lyrics became more important. It was more about the lyrical importance of it. You know what I'm saying? But when you hear them spit, please tell me I Desire don't sound perfect. Please tell me Chick on the Side don't sound perfect. Start with this. You go with Salt and Pepper next. Assault with a Deadly Pepper. You know what I mean?
Point two.
You got get on. You got
11th grade, baby.
A joint with Funk Flex had Buckshot going over for one of his joints. The beat for that. That was crazy. That was crazy. Don't forget about Dana Dane with Fame. Out of one of the and Calvin, you brought this up. One of the few people out the crew who was from Brooklyn. Dana's from Fort Greene. You know what I mean? The Fort Greene Project. So Dana Dane with Fame, dope album. Come back with the Kid and Play 2 Hype. You can't ever forget about this album right here, right there, right. Like I said, the run that they had was incredible. The run that these guys had. I mean, like I said, Last Night changed it all. Rolling with Kid and Play, Getting Funky. Man,
Do This My Way.
Do This My Way. Incredible album. Don't forget about Sweet Tea. It's tea time. Another slept on MC right here. Come back with Crime, The Boy Genius. You know what I'm saying? I remember loving this album in '89 just because he had the condom on the cover. We was like, oh, okay, damn. We still young. We still young boys. We like, oh, he fucking, oh shit, yo, that's the dude. Like, yo.
Right.
It was like, yo, I remember putting the condom on my desk and my mom, forget it. Just bad. Just anything hip hoppers did, I did. I was like, he got condom on his desk. I put a condom on my desk. So you got that.
But he had a record deal. You didn't.
right. And it just open a whole bag of worms because a condom in '89 is not what it is now in 2021. So it's like if your mom's caught you with a condom in '89, it was like the end of the world. It was like, yo, have a talk, call your dad, come get your son. It was just it literally was a production.
Like Trey and Mama said, you had to go move in with Furious Styles.
Right. Please don't call my dad to come have a talk with me. So yeah. And then you got
a very special episode of Apartment 5B.
Yeah, it's a very special episode. And then you finish it off with this. Like I said, man, an incredible crew. Salute to Herb. Like I said, Roots. I'm still just I don't even have a word for it. For you to be able to say you used to argue with Kwame about comic books and Eric B sitting on your steps, like, bro, like your childhood is like, I'm envious. Like I said, this is why I went to Brooklyn every summer, because it was like in hopes of seeing a rapper. Like it literally was like, can I see a dinosaur? Like it literally, I would get the subway map and be like, oh, Farmers Boulevard, I want to go there. Okay, Hollis, I want to go here. Like it literally was like I was that kid in 85 and 86 that's like, yo, I want to see this stuff. So for you growing up in that, bro, that's incredible. Roots, let them know where they can get at you, man. Let them know about your company too, your moving company too.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So you can get at me at Slow Cook on my Instagram. It's at Slow Cook, SLOWCOOKED. You know what I'm saying? That's my Instagram. You could Gmail me at a kid called Roots at Gmail. You know what I'm saying? Send some beats, or you got an artist you think I can help you work it out with them. You know what I'm saying? Then I got a moving company. The moving company is called The Removalists. You know what I'm saying? And you can find that on Instagram, The Removalists, or the removalistnyc.com is the website. You know what I'm saying? Because the music game is flaky. So I had to have a little residual income. So I got the moving company. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you can reach out to me in those ways, you know. That's the best way to get at me.
Just a quick salute to you. I always gotta give you the flowers. For people who didn't see the last episode, this is my OG. This is the guy who, when I got to Morgan at the radio station 889. What happened? Yeah, like all the flowers to this dude, right? Yeah, all the flowers to this dude right there. It's funny because when I'm posting beats, people are always asking me like, "Yo, how do you get your drums like that?" I'm like, "Yo, my nigga Roots." This nigga, I would play Roots beats, and he'd be like, "Yo, what the fuck is up with your drums, man? You can't fucking like, yo, get that shit out of here." So it constantly was, I gotta come back harder for, you know, like it was, and that's what I loved about hip hop then. You know what I mean? Because you pushed each other to get better. Like I feel like now it's like somebody sends you a beat, you're like, "Oh, that's dope," and it's like, no, say it. This is what you need to get better, and this is how you can. That's the only way you get better, is people pushing you. So again, brother, I salute you for everything you've done. Just real quick. A quick rundown of just some of the joints you've done for people, man.
Okay, I did one of the first beats that I mean official joints that I sold was Exhibit. I don't want nobody sounding like me. You know what I'm saying? I did that joint. I flew out to LA and worked with Exhibit. I did Take That for the Lords of the Underground. I did about 5 joints for Sadat X. I'm on like 5 Sadat X records. Like, it's crazy. But one of my favorite ones was a joint called Cock It Back.
Cock It Back. You see what I just pulled? Yo, Roots, you see what I just pulled out, bro?
Yeah.
Cock It Back, man. This joint right here. It's crazy.
In my opinion, Dr. Dre heard that and was inspired, because on that 50 Cent album, that first album,
the same thing. Yep.
Cocking all the way through. I was like, I did that shit like 4 years before that album. But yeah, the Cock It Back for Sadat X. I forgot the name of the other 2 songs I did on 2 different albums for him. And then, of course, one of my biggest records was Do My with Jay-Z and Memphis Bleak. Yeah, it goes on. I did joints with Shauna from Disturbing the Peace. You know, Talib Kweli,
the Country Cousins joint.
Yeah, I did an 8-Ball and MJG joint. I still got it, but it never made an album. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of joints, man.
Yo, Roots, here's the thing. And like I always shout this out because I love this album, Reese. He did 2 joints on here. I absolutely love this album, one of my favorite albums.
Yo, shout out to Reese. This year's the 20th anniversary of that album. This next month is the 20th anniversary. I just spoke to Reese yesterday, right? Because we're trying to do a remix version of the album. We're going to remix the whole album. Dope. And unfortunately, it's not going to come out the day we wanted to come out the day that the album was released 20 years ago, but we're going to get it out before the year's over. So shout out to Reese. That album was ahead of its time. You know
that album is crazy. That album is crazy, man.
Hey, Roots,
crazy.
Is this you get it the Ski Mask Way on Instagram, bro?
Huh?
Is this
yeah, he got the Ski Mask.
All right.
That's the ego. Yo, quiet as kept. I'm working on. I'm doing a movie, right?
Okay.
I'm a telecom major for Morgan State, so I came to Morgan State, wanted to direct films, right? But they didn't have a film department. And my idol at the time was Spike Lee. So I was like, well, I'm gonna do telecom, and I just did video and radio concentration. But now I'm coming back to that. I'm seeing things in a cinematic view throughout the days, right? So I get an idea for a movie, and it involves that's my alter ego. And hey, Beyonce got Sasha Fierce. I can have a wig, a goddamn mask on.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I wasn't following some.
This dude wears that mask.
I just want to make sure I'm following the right one. I don't know how to listen to nobody, bro.
It looks crazy right there, but it'll all make sense when you see the short. When the short comes out, it's gonna be like, oh, that's.
That's dope. That's dope. Yo, Roots, tell me this, bro. Do you remember this time you come to the studio and you play me a beat from Premiere for Source Money? And I go, nah, bro, that shit ain't it. And you was like, yo, how the fuck am I gonna go back and tell DJ Premier this ain't a dope beat? I was like, nigga, I don't fucking know, but that ain't it. And you come back a month later with the beat and you hit play, and I'm like, that's it right there, my nigga. And that was the Against the Grain beat for Source Money on the Soul in the Hole soundtrack.
Oh, Soul in the Hole. Soul in the Hole. And that's a crazy thing. So Premier, damn, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to die because I'm sure Premier might hear this or whatever. But Premier at the time, I was working as management for Source Money, but I only just wanted to make beats. I wanted to be a famous big hip hop producer. But I figured if through this management and working through the music, I can get an opportunity. So now I'm in the studio. I'm in D&D studio with Premier and Source. Source just finished laying a song. Source had to bounce. Me as his representative, I stayed there. Cream was like, yo, I'm gonna fuck with the music a little bit, whatever. We was like, all right. We already had the beat for like 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And the beat was just okay, but Source wasn't that big on it. So now after Source laid it just as it was, Premier was like, all right, I'm gonna work on it. Source bounced. I stayed there. We weren't super excited about the track, right? But we were like, yo, it's Premier. Yo, Premier rolled the L. Me and him was smoking the L, and he just started fucking with the beat. Yo, he multi-pad the beat, and the beat was portions of the beat was on every damn pad on that MPC, and he had the L sitting on his lip like a fucking cigarette, and that shit looked like it was gonna fall off, and it had ash on it and everything, and he was just fucking with it. And within 20 minutes, it was the same beat, but he just multied it and shifted it and chopped it, and it was a fucking monster. I couldn't believe how he chopped that beat up like that. And the vocals, Source laid it just in this linear form. But then after Cream chopped it up and everything, and guess what? Premier at that time, he didn't know I was a music producer. I really believe if Premier knew that I made beats, he wouldn't have let me sit there like that. He only
watched what he did.
Yeah, he knew me as the representative of Source. He didn't know I was making beats. So I had a first-hand bird's eye view of seeing how Premier fucking made his beats. And of course, my music changed the next day after.
That's dope. That's dope.
Premier now knows, like, he was so influential, with me and my music. Like, I was like, oh, this is how you do it. I went home and just figured it out from there. You know what I'm saying? But everybody this is pre-Alchemist, like pre all those niggas, like, you know what I mean?
Right. That's years. Funny thing, you got that whole Source Money album produced by you. You let me hear it. 5 mics. It's crazy. Can we ever get that?
Yeah, that's not for me to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess nah. I mean, if I was to release it, I mean, I got the music here in my house, but if I was to release it, y'all niggas will never see me again. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna cross that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
I feel you.
Yeah, I'm sure that music will eventually come out. You know what I'm saying? Shit, right. I did Alicia Keys' demo. You know what I'm saying? I produced Alicia Keys' demo. I did like 3 joints on that demo, and they didn't have no money. And when the studio was like, yo, when we get a deal, we promise you're gonna be on the album. She got the deal. I never got on the album. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I got those songs. I got them songs on 2-inch reels right here. So, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna be worth something.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I got a lot of joints that never came out from different artists. I did Rod Digger's demo. I didn't get on the album. I did like 4 songs.
Yeah.
I got those songs. All those songs, I got them on that. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting,
crazy.
man.
That's crazy.
It's gonna happen. Maybe I'm release songs or some shit years later. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Eddie, let them know where they get at you, good brother.
Yeah, Twitter at EddieD80, Instagram, freestyles, and freestyles.com. Yo, you can catch me.
JR, R&B rep.
Salute.
Let me say this real quick about JR. And just to go back to what Roots was saying about people making sure their kids understand the music. I think JR is a prime example. JR, you're what, 30?
30, here you go again. 35.
Nigga, you know everybody gets stuck at an age with me, nigga.
Yes, I forgot.
You're just stuck at 30, okay?
Yeah,
Roots,
I forgot.
This dude is 35, but he can tell you about the Supremes and Motown the same way we could talk about the Hit Squad and everybody else. But it's because both your parents were pouring that music into you. You know, so for when we're talking about, you know, parents pour music into your kids, you get an alien like JR, who's able to talk about every genre of music, and he's only 35 years old. But that's what you get. Like, this is what you get when you pour all of that stuff into it. His pop loved hip hop, the mom loved R&B. He got the best of both worlds. That's how he is right now. So go ahead, JR. Where can I get at you?
The R&B Raps, check us out. Our episodes to catch that. You get the R&B Raps on Instagram, R&B Raps on Twitter, JR's World of Soul on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, Vern, where can they get a crib in ATL?
At V the Loan Closer on Instagram, V Chandler 10 on Twitter. Last thing on this episode, anytime I mention Salt and Pepper, one of the dopest things about them was their intonations. They delivered their rhymes like actresses. You know, they weren't just saying words. You know, yo, Salt, are you ready to work it out? I mean, the way they did their little accents and stuff, it made you feel their music, bro. And I salute them just for the way they delivered all of their rhymes, man.
Yeah, very, very dope group. Very dope group. Rel, where can they get at you, brother?
Uptown J Ben on Instagram, JBen215 on Twitter.
All right, Kel.
Real simple, at Kelvin Davis Sr. on Twitter, at Big Kelvin Instagram.
Yo, where you live at? You in Philly?
Huh? Nah, I'm Maryland now.
Roots, who you talking to?
My bad, Kel. All right.
No, Kel. Kel out here. Kel out in Bowie.
I'm in Bowie.
Rel, I was.
Rel, yeah. Rel out here too.
I'm out here too.
Oh, okay.
I'm out here too. Yeah. Y'all went to Morgan. I went to Cobb.
Oh, that's what's up. All right.
So,
yeah. And you already know this with me, Kill 889, Twitter, IG, we'll make beats for food.com. Me and Vague got the single out, about to put another single out. We have an EP that's all about his cousin Ill Will from Queensbridge. So definitely saluting him. So we got that joint out. And we check y'all next week. Y'all appreciate y'all.